And I hadn't prepared anything because I didn't know I was going to be asked to speak. I thought I was going to answer questions. We do have a different perspective of how we got here. We come from very, very different perspectives. The Park Service and the plaintiffs have a perspective, and the ranchers have a perspective, okay? We thought that we were gonna work this out. When this is the second lawsuit. The first lawsuit by the same plaintiffs ended in a solution that directed the Park Service to do a more robust study about what happens on the seashore regarding the ranches. So we dug in, all of us, and many of the people in this room got involved in a very public process and a legal process under the National Environmental Policy Act. A public process that ended up with an enormous public comment, enormous amount of science, a robust document that ended up saying the ranchers should get 20-year leases, everyone. We actually didn't like everything about that document. It ratcheted down natural resource conservation requirements. The ranchers all said, okay, we can do this. We know how to conserve natural resources and produce food cooperatively. They're not mutually exclusive. And so we really had no idea where this was headed. Again, we told the Park Service, we'll support you, we'll work with you. We will meet this higher bar of natural resource conservation. We will show that it can be done right, and let's do this. And the plaintiffs sued again on that plan because they didn't like the outcome. They demanded and required to do a higher level NEPA review. So we thought, we've been told all along, this is defensible. This is robust. It meets every legal standard necessary. So here we are, all of us, this whole community. Our friends have put an enormous amount of time trying to support the continuation of this historic use, a cultural use that we believe the Park Service should also be supporting. But when it came to mediation, and we saw, I have very strict guardrails and a muzzle on what I can and can't say, and I think everybody knows that, and we agreed to it, okay? And I think Michael said it well. It became an untenable situation. It became a time when we realized that our choice is, if we don't agree to settlement, we continue with litigation, and we are absolutely in a minority in that litigation. And it could have ended very badly. I noticed that there's concern about the Nature Conservancy and what their goals might have been. Some are concerned that the Nature Conservancy was invited in, and let's let this money by our agenda, and they were part of the plan from the beginning. I don't believe that to be true. I watched the Nature Conservancy come in and look for solutions. Look for a way that we can get through this conflict and end up with natural resource conservation and a healthy landscape. And it wasn't necessarily at the end that I don't want to get into. The problem is, I see this as the problem. 11 families get enough money to go out and buy a house or try to make a life somewhere else. And everybody else has to weather the damage that results from that.
Yes.
And I think that, I can't say that I have to agree that we were willing. we saw that as a solution, and we entered into this shaking hands with the Nature Conservancy and appreciating this, and at the same time having the deepest sorrow you could ever imagine. This is, I couldn't even tell my dad about this decision when it was time. He's 94 years old, he lives next door on the ranch, he still helps with the cows, and I had to tell him, we decided that we're gonna have to leave. It's unimaginable. It's unimaginable how we sit there and we talk to our own children and our grandchildren who love these cows and love the ranch. It's who we are. It's our existence. It's our identity. And we have to walk away from it. And so it's enormously emotional. And I'm sorry, didn't mean to. Okay. I didn't prepare. But you know, I see that this could have ended differently. I know it could have ended differently. But we had the wrong people in the room making decisions, and everybody else not allowed in. And and just sad to see such a profound change in our community with almost zero community input. And it's I guess that's how it works in court. You know, that's the legal system. But it's sad. You know, the first time, Dennis, that first lawsuit, Steve Kinsey stepped up and said, I'm going to intervene. And he did. And when we were in settlement negotiations and the judge was there, and it wasn't just self-interested ranchers trying to convince a settlement that what was good for them. We had the county of Marin there arguing for us. And this time around, you elected not to intervene. And I think that played a role in all this.
Yes.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry to call you out on this, Dennis.
Both of you need to resign.
It is.
And Dennis.
I'm sorry.
Resign.
That's not what this is for today, and I apologize.
Don't apologize. Tell the truth.
So I'm just, I think I better stop. I
wolves in sheep's clothing.
I think that things could have gone better. I am grateful that the Nature Conservancy did come in after all this and work through to find a settlement. Otherwise, we'd be in court right now, toe-to-toe with the parties. And lastly, and I'm just going to end on this, mediation, doesn't that gives you the sense that there's something that should be fair and middle ground, and there should be a mediator that actually finds middle ground. This mediation ended with, let's look at the starting point. Let's look at the baseline. The baseline starting point is the ROD and the EIS that was going to guide management for the Park Service got challenged. That ROD says we have 20 years leases, right? That's the baseline. What happened is then there's a lawsuit. So from the plaintiff's standpoint, their baseline is we have 20-year leases, and they're going to try to challenge that. Every legal expert that looked at this agreed with the Park Service that this is a robust document. It's going to stand up in court. You'll get your 20-year leases, and but truth be known, the court may agree that there was some fault to that legal NEPA document. Maybe they have to go back and review some of what they studied. Maybe there could be more reduction in what the ranchers would be able to do and more regulation. But it's very unlikely that the court's going to throw that out and say, the ranchers, you got to go. So the baseline, that's the baseline. Now, mediation, you'd expect give and take on both sides. We're hearing people say, oh, there's give and take on both sides. I want to hear from Chance, what sacrifice have you made?
Yeah.
What I want to really hear the give and take. The way I see it is from that baseline, this community gives. Our families give. We have some help from the Nature Conservancy. We have some help from the county that's adding money to this decision. Now the county is saying they're adding money to help with the workers. They're actually adding money to get this deal done. And some of it's going to go to the workers. You could call it going to here, or you can call it going to there. We're grateful. We're grateful that that Andrew Giacomini stood up, and he's standing up for those workers.
Yeah.
Most affected people in this decision were at the table, and so thank you to Andrew Giacomini. But then we give up our home, our identity, in exchange for a dollar amount. I'm not saying that we aren't getting anything, but there was a give on the rancher side, and I want to hear about the give on the plaintiff side. Thank you. I'm finished.